I want to follow up on that same question. It's the same one I have in mind. That if, let me stand so people will see me. The question of taking $9,000 for each of these students away from your local public school to go with them. Now, I have no problem with that. Unfortunately, I don't see that many of these schools are going to reduce the number of teachers. Our education program, we need to really be attacking the union problem in these schools, and we're not. School choice is good, and like I said, I 100% support it. I really think that this is one of the programs we ought to be emulating Sweden with. You know, the socialist state of Sweden has universal school choice. If people didn't know that, you can take your kids to any school in the country, and the money goes with it, with them. It doesn't matter what the school is. If you want one that teaches them how to run a sewing machine, the school, it goes with it if that's what the parents decide. Here in Pennsylvania, right now the schools are paying, for instance, into the pension funds of the teachers around 5%. I think it's the school year of 2019-20. That contribution is going to be 26.99%. There is a huge, huge increase coming in the costs of those local schools. That's just pensions. We're not dealing with the problems of these schools. School choice, yes. I would love to send my child to another school. Point is I understand it's never going to happen for me. My son is a freshman in high school. He's doing very well. I'm happy with all of that. I'd like to see him going to a school that teaches a little higher morals, you know, that decides that they might want to allow somebody to come in and actually talk about abstinence, for instance, in sex education, as opposed to having Planned Parenthood there handing out condoms. You know? What's that? So, you know, I would like to send my child to a more moral school, one that teaches history that is true. But these things aren't happening. But I don't see the local school districts' costs decreasing. You're not going to break the unions. They're going to continue doing this. And I'll tell you, in our area, in the Scranton area, there are a lot of teachers who are running for school boards and they're winning. They're not running in the district they work in, they run in the next district, and those people from that next district are running in their district. And damn it, teachers should not be allowed to run for school boards. And we got to stop that as well. I'm tired of it.
I'm gonna give Anastasia the mic, but I'll just address one part of your question, of your statement, is that we are all looking for education reform in Pennsylvania. We need broad education reform. We all agree with you. And SB1 is a start. But if SB1 fails, we're done. I mean, then the talk dies. This is the start of the talk. And sir, the unions are scared of SB1. If they're raising their dues, if they're campaigning that hard on the radio, they have been to the Capitol day in, day out. We have seen thousands of teachers at the Capitol, union teachers at the Capitol, protesting SB1. This is on a weekly basis. So there's something in this bill that's scaring them. So we're starting to crack the unions with this.
And I'm going to use Penridge as an example. Again, it's up to us to take our government, to become part of it. So yes, if you have teachers that are running for school board, then you need to run against them. Until people like us get involved and we go door to door and we knock on every house and we explain and we expose, that is what's really going to, you know, we need to get involved in these school boards because they will just pass it on to the taxpayer. But it's up to us to say no. Another piece of legislation we heard about was making a mandate to raise your property tax, that you would have to vote, you know, at the poll if you agree with that. So that's another bill that is part of this education reform package that's being tossed around in Harrisburg. So if you like that idea, talk to your state rep, your state senator.
Okay, just a couple comments I'd like to make. One is you're right. Incrementalism is what they've been doing to us forever. And so nothing's ever perfect. At least if we can start going in the right direction, that'd be a good thing. I've served on education committees in the region for years, and just a couple of points. You know, the PSSA, they teach those tests all year long. I mean, right. I mean, those kids learn nothing all year long. My kid used to come home, the last one in particular, come home with a book, and that's all they did all year. I mean, it was frustrating. And the books that they've got are very poorly written. I mean, the math, I'd go through the math sections, being an engineer, and things weren't even right, and the teachers didn't care. I mean, and these kids are learning this stuff, and it was frustrating. I wrote the whole problem out and gave them, you know, teacher, and teacher said, yeah, that's right. I'm going, well, how's this helping these kids? But they don't care because they're teaching to the test because they've got a mandate. You know, one of the problems that the schools have, in fairness to the schools, and I get very frustrated listening to the superintendents when I go to these quarterly board meetings I go to, and they complain with certain, you know, I mean, they have no perspective of business. I'm a business person, so they have no perspective, and so that's frustrating. It's not that they don't really care, but they're in the bureaucracy. They've been there in the whole life. That's all they know, and that's a problem. So trying to change the superintendents, because even if you move superintendents between school districts, it's the same thing. Then you get, you know, a new administration, I don't care which governor it is, which party it is almost, they come in with a new mandate. They're going to do something different. So what happens is they come in with their new mandate, and you know, years ago was outcome-based education. That was a funny thing to serve on those boards. You know, just listening to the teachers complain about that. But the point is, every 4 or 8 years, in fairness to the school systems, they're getting a new mandate. It's not funded. They don't have the wherewithal to do it. It's being somewhat jammed down their throats. There's a resistance to it. You know, it's no different than when I was in corporation and the corporate guys would tell me, here's what you're going to do. And I go, yeah, right. You know, you got a new idea. This is going to last how long? And by the time we figure out what we're supposed to do with it, it won't matter. The textbooks are so poorly written anymore, and they have agendas in them that are enough to, you know, I don't have hair half the places because I pull it out reading them. I mean, my son now is going to college, my last one, and I read these agendas that they've got in here, and it's atrocious. It's socialism. I mean, and the kids are afraid to say anything because the teachers really do come down hard on most of these kids. I mean, I don't know how to change that because you change the school boards, even in the local school districts. You know, they got enough things to deal with. They got their own home lives and everything else, and they're only there for, you know, their monthly meetings, and it's very difficult. So, and one last comment was, I've done junior achievement for years. As a business person, I thought it was important to get into the schools and talk to the kids and see what was going on. And one thing that really floored me one time was when one of the teachers said to me, we're not here to teach anymore. We are here as social workers. Our job is to keep the kids off the street. If by chance they learn something, then that's a positive thing. But we really are here as social workers. That's it. And that's a sad commentary on how things at least used to be when I was in school. You know, when I was in school, you screwed up, you knew about it. Oh, and one other thing is with No Child Left Behind, they've dumbed everything down. They teach the lowest common denominator in all the classes anymore. There's, I don't know, maybe not all schools are the same, but my school that I went to school in had a higher section, a middle section, and a lower section. And you know, if you're on the edge cusp on something like English or speaking, I would be down in those lower sections. But, you know, you struggled with that, but it at least kept you challenged, and you were trying to do something. And that's not what's happening in schools nowadays. Thanks.
A lot of people have been mentioning things that have been going through my mind for years. I don't know how many of you live in the Wilkes-Barre area school district. They admit that they have lost 20% of their students over the last decade. Not by anything they've done, just that the population has changed, okay? The cost of education in Wilkes-Barre area school district has not gone down a penny, okay? And for all of you, if you want to see a dumbfounded look, ask any one of your school board members how many students they have now and how many teachers they have now versus how many students they had 5 years ago and teachers 5 years ago. the ratio of student to teacher in Wilkes-Barre area is less than 13 students per teacher. And one of the best areas in in this part of the state, Crestwood, which carries a very good, is very well respected, they have the highest number of students per teacher, almost 20. So it's not the teachers, student ratio, it's the teachers.
Let me just ask a really quick question. Anna and Anastasia, could you create that sense of urgency that we need to implement with that date that you told us before, so we know what action to take when we leave here?
Yeah, I mean, the action is simple. June 30th is the deadline. They go home. So on June 30th. So starting tomorrow, you need to target senators and House reps. Call. Make appointments to go see them in their office here in the district. You don't have to go all the way to Harrisburg. Go to their district here if you can't get to Harrisburg. If you want to go to Harrisburg, we'll take you to Harrisburg. We'll hold your hand through this process. We'll tell you what to say and what to do if you're in support of school choice. So, but it has to start now. We have no time to waste. The clock is ticking. It's a small window of opportunity here for us in Pennsylvania. There's no next year.
If everybody here met with their state rep, it would make a difference. If everybody here, they would wake up. This would be enough to wake them up, because guess what? They're getting chain emails from the PSEA. It's not effective. You send them a personal letter and tell them that you won SB1, that will wake them up. Showing up at in their district office will wake them up. So I hope you all understand. They go home, and guess what's going to happen? All summer they're going to get hammered by the teachers union. So we really need to get this passed by June 30th.
And phone calls, I mean, phone calls are so important. They get annoyed with the phone calls. They don't want us to call. So shut down the Capitol lines. Call, because eventually they're going to cave in and they're going to vote for this. So, and they're getting, what we've been told by multiple reps is that they're getting 60 emails a day from the unions. 60. So we need to double that. And they get a couple from us, so we need to ramp this up. We can do it.